Hello friends, we are learning conversion of decimal numbers to proper or mixed fraction. So we are learning conversion of decimal to fraction. To aid your understanding, you can watch previous videos on decimal numbers to make sure you understand everything we'll be discussing in this lesson. Conversion of decimals to fraction has few steps that has to be followed. Step one, write divisible figures you have after the decimal. Like for the example we have on the board, we have just 25, that's 2 and 5. Don't forget 025 or 0025 is equal to 25. So 0 to the left hand side of any figure is meaningless. Step 2, count the figures you have after the decimal for your denominators. Like in this one, we have 3 figures after the decimal. 1, 2, 3. So I represent them with zeros. That means here we have 3 zeros and 1. That means if you have 2 figures after the decimal, you are going to have 2 zeros and 1. If you have 3 figures after the decimal, like in this one, we have 3 zeros and 1. If you have 4 figures after the decimals, then we have 4 zeros and 1. And if you have 5 figures after the decimal, no matter how long it is, then you have 5 zeros and 1. So the figures you have on the left hand side, don't forget they are whole numbers. That automatically becomes your whole number. Write it as whole number and reduce your fraction to its lowest term. Don't forget all fractions have to be expressed in their lowest terms. So that means we have 25 here 1, 25 in 100, that's 4, 25 is 0, 0. Don't forget you can also reduce. You can start your reduction with 2, 2, or any figure that is comfortable by you. Let's say we have 0.25. If you want to change 0.25 to a fraction, the first thing you do is that you take the figure on the right hand side of the decimal, which is 2 and 5, write them as numerator, and count the digits you have after the decimal, which are just 2, 1, 2 in this one. So then represent them with zeros and 1. After you have done that, reduce your fraction to its lowest term. So if you see very well, you say that 5 can divide this, give us 5. 5 divides it 20. 5 again gives us 1. And 5 again gives us 4. So that means 0.25 is 1 over 4. 0.25 is equal to 1 over 4. That is a quarter in fraction. So let's have another example. Let's say we have 3.286. This is very big. It's going to give us a very big fraction. So don't forget that this is the unit. So we don't need to convert the unit. So we only convert what we have after the decimal. So that is going to be 3. We write that as our whole number. So figures on the left hand side of the decimal are whole numbers. Then we write out 286 over, let's count 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 figures. That means we're going to have 3 zeros and 1. So then we reduce our fraction to the lowest term. So what can divide this? If I'm not mistaken, I think 2 goes. So we have 2 here, that is 143, and 2 here is going to be 500. So that means 3.284 in its lowest term is equal to 3 whole number 143 over 500. So in another example, we have 0.0012 to be taken to fraction. So don't forget that the visible figure we have here is 1 and 2, and 0 to the left hand side of a figure is meaningless. 0 to the left hand side of the figure is meaningless. So we can just write 12 over, how many figures we have after the decimal? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we're going to have 4 zeros. 4 zeros and 1. So we now have 12 over 10,000. So that's 12 10,000. So we now reduce it to the lowest 10. If you, let's check very well. I think 4 goes to save our time. So we have 4 here, 3, and 4 here is 2, remain the 2. 4 in 25, and 4 in 0, 0 gives 0, 0. So that means 0.0012 is equal to 3 over 2,500.